something unexpected happened. The kind of moment that slices through the calm of a normal day and makes the whole world inhale at once. It started quietly. A typical morning. People scrolling on their phones in bed, on the bus, in the kitchen while making breakfast. Everything felt routine, slow, ordinary. And then, ping. One notification, then another, then hundreds, thousands. Suddenly social media timelines glitched, froze, refreshed. Because a single update was spreading everywhere at the speed of light. Jin did it. Again. But this time, he broke a record so unreal it felt like fiction. 90 consecutive weeks of ranking #1 on my OnePic's K-pop individual weekly ranking. 90 weeks. People stared at the number, unable to blink. 90 weeks wasn't just holding a streak, it was surviving trend cycles, algorithm changes, new group debuts, solo releases, voting battles, seasonal waves, fandom wars, and still emerging at the top every single week. His win this week came with 9,167,583 hearts, a number so massive you could feel the weight of global support behind it. But as fans looked deeper, more updates surfaced, and each one felt bigger than the last. Jin wasn't just #1 this week, he was also #1 for 22 straight months in the K-pop individual monthly ranking, #1 for 19 consecutive months in the OnePic solo category. A star who didn't just dominate, he owned entire categories for nearly 2 years. You could almost feel it, that warm wave of pride spreading across timelines as fans whispered, he really did all this, even during the hardest years. Because people remember. They remember his enlistment, his discharge, his comeback, and how, even through silence, Jin's name never faded. It only grew brighter. But then another headline dropped, and emotions flooded all over again. In a themed poll asking, which star would give you strength on CSAT day? One of the most stressful days for Korean students, Jin didn't just win, he secured 80% of the entire vote. 80%. A number that speaks to something deeper than fandom. Something human. Because when people are scared, tired, pressured, overwhelmed, they choose comfort. And they chose Jin. His calm, his kindness, his warmth, his steady presence. And fans knew this wasn't the first time. Jin has topped polls that don't measure popularity, they measure feeling. Talented artist who protects the soul, smart star with sense, star who seems like royalty in a past life, trendiest star for advertising. These aren't titles people give lightly. They're reflections of how someone makes you feel. And Jin has always made people feel safe, inspired, understood. Just as everyone was celebrating this emotional wave of victories, Brazil stepped into the spotlight. And this time, the news wasn't just emotional, it was earth-shattering. At the Breaktudo Awards 2025, Brazil's biggest, loudest, most competitive pop culture awards show, Jin's Don't Say You Love Me won International Hit of the Year. And this wasn't an easy win. This wasn't a small category. This wasn't one of those fan awards. This was the main award. The one featuring global artists like Tate McRae, Rose Catsier, Gracie Abrams. These artists dominate Spotify playlists, they trend on TikTok, they own the global charts. And yet, Jin's R&B track, with its emotional retro softness, rose above all of them on Brazilian soil, a country where Latin pop and reggaeton rule the charts. The ceremony was streamed worldwide on Telemilenio, Box Brazil Play, Prime Video, Claro TV Plus, Yeah TV. Millions watched. Millions voted. And when Jin's name was announced, the crowd screamed. Because Don't Say You Love Me wasn't just a song in Brazil, it was a phenomenon. It had already crossed 600 million Spotify streams, becoming the fastest K-pop solo song to reach that milestone by 2025. Billboard Hot 100 at number 90. His third solo entry, 18 consecutive weeks on both Global 200 and Global Excl. US charts. This wasn't a fan moment. This was a global pop culture moment. A song sung in Korean, created by a Korean soloist, standing at the center of Latin America's biggest music stage and winning. What people love most is the contrast. In Korea, Jin is topping charts built on data, like hearts, votes, rankings, months-long streaks. But in Brazil, he's topping charts built on emotion, on how deeply a song can cut into your heart even when you don't speak the language. And somewhere in between these two worlds, one truth became clearer than ever. Jin isn't just popular, he's universal. His presence reaches people who've never heard of K-pop. His voice touches his listeners who don't know Korean. His music wins awards in countries he hasn't even toured yet. So this week wasn't just about 90 weeks at number 1 or 600 million streams or International Hit Award. It was about something bigger. The realization that Jin isn't just participating in the global music scene, he's shaping it. And as fans celebrate one of the biggest weeks of his career, one question fills every corner of the internet. If this is what Jin can do now, what on earth will he do next? Because this week proved something nobody can deny. When Jin moves, the world feels it.